The documentary is about the techniques and development of 2D animation. Animation has existed for over a century. It has expanded from simple hand-drawn cartoon to expensive multi-million-dollar computer animation. Pioneers and techniques. Pioneers: Mark Roger, William Horner, Joseph Paletu, John Barnes, Emile Reynaud, Thomas Edison, Max Fleischer, Len Lee, Erhard. Stages of 2D animation: storyboarding, record of dialogue, drawing, inking, background, photographing, and traditional animation. Developers of animation. Walt Disney. As an animator and interpreter, Disney was particularly noted as a filmmaker and popular showman, as well as an innovator in animation and theme park design. He and his staff created various fictional characters, including Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy. Walt Disney was a pioneer in characters in animation. He was one of the first people to move animation away from the basic cartoon with just impossible, outlandish gags and currently drawn characters, and towards elevating the field into an art form with heart-warming stories and characters the audience could connect to an emotional level. Snow White. Following the creator of two cartoon series in 1934, Disney began planning a full-length feature. When the film industry learned of Disney's plans to produce an animated feature-length version of Snow White, they were certain that the endeavor would destroy the Disney studio and dubbed the project Disney's Folly. Both Leon and Roy tried to talk Disney out of the project, but he continued plans for the future, employing Charlton Art Institute professor Don Graham to start a training operation for the studio staff. Disney then used Silly Symphonized as a platform for the experiment in realistic human animation, distinctive character animation, special effects, and the use of specialized process and apertures such as a multi-plane camera, a new techniques first used by Disney in the 1937 Silly Symphonized short The Old Mill. Key developments. For example, South Park has been drawn step by step, which took lots of months to make one episode. Then they moved to cutouts, which were saving a bit of time because every single step has been drawn. All you had to do was to change the position of the cutout and take a picture. This also took a long time to do one episode, so then they moved to a program called Maya, which allowed them to do all animation on the computer, and it automatically fitted the next step. This saved a lot of time, and instead of spending 4 months on one episode, it only took 5 days. Genres and form of animation. Animation is used in a variety of genres and forms, such as computer games, children's TV, cinema, and advertising. For example, video games are now made in 3D to give a better perspective to the players. 3D makes them feel like the action in the game is real, which makes it more realistic. The graphics also look like the action in the game has been cut from the film, because the faces, for example, look very real. 2D animations. Many examples of 2D animation are created using computer software. For example, South Park is using a software called Maya, which gives them a shorter amount of time to complete one episode. They are also saving money. The software animates between the frames by itself, which gives a view on how it looks. They can also edit it to make it look how they want it to look. Bitmap graphics are based on pixels, and so when scaled, there is a lot of loss of clarity while vector-based graphics can be scaled by any amount without degrading quality. Flash animation. A flash animation or flash cartoon is an animated film which is created by Adobe Flash or similar animation software and often distributed in the SWF file format. The term flash animation not only refers to the file format but to certain kind of movement and visual style. With dozens of flash animated television series, countless more flash animated television commercials, and award-winning online shorts in circulation, flash animation is currently enjoyed renaissance. An example of flash animation is Salad Fingers, which is fabulously freakish flash animation by David Firth. Is a weird and wonderful slice of fantastic fun. Animation is not the art of drawing that movie, but rather the art of movement that the drawn was happened between each frame is more important than what happens each frames. Mark Roger created and published a book on the theory of the persistence of vision with regard of moving objects. By definition, the theory where an after image is through a persist of approximately 1/25th of a second on the retainer, and believed to be explanation for motion perception. The true reason for motion reception is the phi phenomenon, while the true reason for the perception of continuous light is known as flicker fusion.
More than 70 million people in the United States go to the movies each week to get away from their cares and to find entertainment, romance, and thrills on the magic screen. But only a few understand how the lights and shadows on the screen are controlled to make us see a motion picture. Motion pictures are based on an optical illusion, just another case where seeing is believing. To understand how we see, let's turn the tables on the human eye and look at it instead of through it. The light reflected by any object we look at passes through the lens of the eye and is focused upside down on the sensitive surface called the retina. This retina passes the impression on to the optic nerve, which sends it to the brain, and we see it right side up. The reflection will stay on the retina as long as the object is in view. When we look away or take the object away, the images disappear. But notice that the image in the brain does not disappear immediately. It fades a fraction of a second after the object is removed. This slow fading is called persistence of vision. When we look at a moving object, we really see it in two places at once, where it is and where it was a fraction of a second before. Let's get out into a rainstorm for a good example. The water you seem to see falling in streams is really a lot of separate drops. Persistence of vision makes you see each raindrop in several places over a distance of several inches. Let's look at a picture of a car and a picture of a moving landscape to show how the eye can make them seem to overlap. Let's run them on the screen, one after the other. We look at them for 2 seconds each, then for 1 second each. Now, faster and faster until we see the two pictures as if they were both one picture, another optical illusion. If your eyes didn't trick you into seeing the moving particles of fireworks as continuous streaks, you would see only sparks instead of streams of light. Persistence of vision is the principle which makes movies possible. A motion picture is really only a fast series of still photographs that overlap in your mind. Tracings of two of these still photographs, placed one on top of the other, show that each of the two photographs has caught the press in a slightly different position. Here is the way the first photograph looks. This is the way the second photograph looks. Now let's take the complete series in rapid succession. Faster. Persistence of vision makes us see two pictures at once. As a result, there is an appearance of motion. So motion pictures are just still pictures joined together on a long strip of film. The more still pictures we get while the action is going on, the smoother it looks. If we want to slow down the motion of something that goes fast, we speed up our camera and make, say, 5 times as many pictures per second. We have slow motion when they are shown on the screen at normal camera speed. Now, here is a motion picture film, 1,000 feet, 16,000 separate photographs. Let's tidy up this tangle of film by putting it on a reel. Now we'll build a projection machine to show the pictures on a screen. The film unwinds from the reel and rewinds onto another reel after it runs through the projector. To throw the picture on the screen, there is a bright light with a reflector behind it to send the light rays in the right direction and a lens to concentrate the light. The film passes a hole or aperture which lets the light go through only one picture at a time. There is another lens to focus the pictures on the screen. By adjusting the lenses, the picture can be made sharp and clear. Let's start the machine moving. The still pictures blur because they're moving all the time. And this won't do at all. We need something to hold each picture still long enough for us to look at it in between the changes. When the film is started and stopped in rapid succession, the eye sees the changes being made, and the result is streaks instead of movies. So we need a shutter to cut off the light while every change of picture is being made, and let light through only while the film is standing still. Surprising as it seems, you never see a motion picture while it is actually moving. The only time a movie moves is when the shutter keeps you from seeing the change of picture. Then we see it just the way it looks in real life. Now we have the important parts of a projector for showing motion pictures on the screen. But let's change that drawing to an actual machine at work. This reel holds the supply of motion picture film, which passes through the projector at a speed of 90 feet each minute. Slots on this aperture plate guide the film past the narrow beam of light so that only one picture can be seen at a time. The adjustable lens, which gives us a clear, sharp picture on the screen, is placed in the path of the light rays after they pass through the film. Sprockets, which guide the film as well as start it and stop it, are placed in position to hold the film in proper position at all times. The shutter is placed behind the film to cut off the light at intervals while the pictures change. And now, when you see motion pictures, you get a true picture of what really happens. A picture that you could never see in any other way.
Xenotrope works much as the same principle as the phenakistoscope, but the image are within a spinning cylinder that was vertically slits on the sides. The user looks through the slits, and as the image spins, it gives the illusion of animation. The first ever example was created in China, 100 BC by Ding Yuan. It was invented in 1833 by William Horner, who named it as the Daedalus. It was publicly referred to the Wheel of Devil and didn't become popular until the 1860s. The phenakistoscope was an early invention for animation. It used a spinning disc with images painted round the edge that were slightly different from the next and used the persistence of vision to create the illusion of motion and animation to the user. In 1829, the idea was established by Joseph Poletou and started planning the invention in 1839, and by 1841 he had created this contraption. The first flipbook was patented by John Barnes, Lytton named Kinograph. In 1868, it was the first type of 2D animation that used a linear sequence of images compared to the circular contraption such as the phenakistoscope. It is a book with an image on each page that changes slightly from one page to the next. When rapidly turning or flicking the pages, it appears to be animated and simulating movement.
I thought you
This animation device was successor to the zoetrope, with a strip of image around the outer edge of cylinder. However, the slits were removed and inner circle of the mirror were placed for the user to look at. This innovation gave clear and brighter image and also allowed the animation to be more or less stationary when spinning. The kinetoscope was an early motion picture device. It was designed for films to be viewed by the person at the time through the peephole at the top. It was not projector but was the start of standard for the projector of video with the illusion of animation using a performant film strip film bearing circuitry images over a light source with a high-speed shutter. First described by Thomas Edison in 1888 and officially presented on April 14, 1894. This is when animators trace over footage, each and every frame. Used in live action and animated films, it originally were projected onto frosted glass and then redrawn. However, this technique was now being replaced digitally. It was invented by Max Fleischer in 1915, used in his series Out of Inkwell. Rotoscoping creates a stylized cartoon look, creating large regions of color. The draw on film technique is produced by the animator drawing onto blank film to create the images. This allows you to draw, paint, and attach any 2D objects to create visual anything. One of the first artists to do this was Len Ley. He used many different techniques to create his work, including carving into black stock film to create patterns and abstract movements.
Esto lo dibujé yo para dar ese cabezamiento. Apague la luz esta.
Qué bueno.
¿Iván?
Qué capo.
¿Y cuándo lo hizo, no?
Sí, es Iván.
Iván.
¿Iván?
Qué capo.
¿Este quién lo hizo?
No sé. Todavía no vino.
No vino.
Todavía no puedo saber si es mío.
¿Y eso es? No, porque hay varios que como
Sí,
yo voy a
¿por qué no dicen quién lo hizo?
No, mira, nada, porque yo no sé.
La mía va a ser muy feo.
¿Qué me perdí?
A ver.
El nombre del chavo.
¿Este que lo hizo? Tampoco sabe nadie que lo hizo. Pues digan que lo hizo.
Tal vez alguien que...
Pero si no alguien que dejó,
Claro,
porque,
alguien.
claro,
Me da
falta.
vergüenza.
Esto lo hizo Axel y no dijo nada.
Sí.
¿Dijiste qué es?
Sí. Ah, bueno, pues como temprano.
Ay, qué lindo. ¿Qué? ¿Es el tuyo? A mí. No, no, ese es el mío.
Ah, bueno.
Cell that stands for celluloid is a sheet of transparent material where objects or images are drawn onto. First used in 1914 by Errol Hurd, and background image would usually be drawn onto a sheet for a particular scene and then used on other cells to reduce how long it will take to produce each scene. The outline of the image on a cell will be on the back. This will hide the brush marks and any scruffy edges to the color. These cells can then be put into strip for the use of a projector. The late 1990s saw the rise of Flash animation, animated films created using Adobe Flash animation software produced in the US and elsewhere and distributed through the internet. The term Flash animation refers not only to the file format but to the certain kind of movement and visual style that is seen in many circles as simplistic or unpolished. There are dozens of Flash animated television series, countless more Flash animated television commercials, and award-winning online charts in circulations. Animation has existed for over a century. It has expanded from simple hand-drawn cartoon to expensive multi-million-dollar computer animation. It has also gone from two-dimensional or 3D animation to the incredible three-dimensional animation or 3D. Technology has improved the process and streamlined the classic process of stages of 2D animation. However, the basic stages have formed the basis for all animation afterwards. Before a single picture is drawn on or a single line of a dialogue spoken, the whole animation must be storyboarded. This is done in every single animation, from the most basic 2-second animation to an entire animated movie. Storyboards are crude drawings placed on a wall in order to visualize each shot of our animation. After the storyboard has been finished, the dialogue must be recorded. This will be done in a professional recording studio. This is vital to the animation process, as the animators must know what the characters will say. They will then match the movement and lip movement of the characters with the recorded dialogue. However, if there is no dialogue, the step is obviously skipped. All of the characters and backgrounds will then be drawn on paper by the animators. This will include the characters and the background and anything else that has to be in the scene. In classic 2D animation, there may be over 100,000 individual drawings made. These drawings are sometimes not even enough to finish the entire story. An artist called an in-betweener will look over the drawing and make any extra drawings that can help flesh the story out. They may also add new art to the already finished drawings. After the entire film has been drawn on paper, it will go to the inking department. The artist here will carefully transfer the characters drawn on the paper onto celluloid acetates or cells. Every character of every drawing of the film has to be transferred to one of these transparent cells. The inkers do the basic outline of the characters and then send the cells to the painting department. They turn over the cell and paint the characters within the outline. On the back gives the characters a well-defined outline. After all the characters and character action has been transferred to the cells, background must be made. The paper drawings will be taken to the background department. These artists will use the paper drawings as a guideline for the type of background for the characters. They must make sure the background corresponds to the action and behavior of the characters on the screen. They may add their own animation ideas to the background, drawing thousands of minor variations to the basic background to give it a little life and action. Once all the characters' cells have been made and all the backgrounds painted, the basic photography can start. The background is placed below the lines and the cells are placed on top of the background. They are carefully sustained and held in place by clamps and the corners. A photograph will be then taken. The next cell of the animation will be placed under the camera and photographed. The first film recorded on standard picture film that include animated sequences was the 1900 enhanced drawing, which was followed by the first entirely animated film, the 1906 humorous Face of Funny Faces by J. Stuart Blackton, who is, because of that, considered the father of American animation. The first animated film created by using that came to become traditional hand-drawn animation. The 1908 Phantasmagorie by Émile Cohl. In Europe, the French artist Émile Cohl created the first animated film using what came to be known as traditional animation creation methods. The 1908 Phantasmagorie, the film literally consisted of a stick figure moving around encouraging all manner of mirthing objects, such as a wine bottle, and transforms into a flower. There were also sections of live action where the animator's hands would enter the scene. The film was created by drawing each frame on paper and then shooting each frame onto negative film, which gave the picture a blackboard look.